Hey guys, what's going on? I thought I would come on here again and just kind of let everybody up to date on my new placement and some pretty cool news that I have. Um, so I ended my placement with my SPED and my amazing host teacher at Eagleton last Friday. And I was really sad, and the students, they were pretty sad about me leaving, and they were, wondering if I would come back and teach with them or teach for them. And I got invited to the eighth grade formal, so it was a pretty nice way to end my placement. The highlight of that was getting serenaded by my special friend who sang Bruno Mars to me and danced, and he made a comment that he wouldn't even dance for his girlfriend. So the fact that Miss Powell got, serenaded was was the highlight of everything. I do plan to keep in touch, and I told them that I would come visit them when my current county that I'm working in is on spring break, because they're on spring break next week, and then we're on spring break the following week. Today was my second day of my placement at Powell Elementary. It's 5 minutes away from my house, and I'm currently in a first grade classroom. There are 18 students in there with one teacher, Ms. Poston. She is pretty awesome. She's got 23 years experience in teaching. She's been with Powell, I want to say, for about 7 or 8 years, and she was with Cedar Bluff Elementary for 15 years. So I commend her to have so much energy with first grade, 23 years experience, because that's a lot. The students were very welcoming when I came in. They were very eager and very receptive of me. I was kind of worried that they would be a little testy with boundaries, but I met Miss Poston prior to coming in on Monday, and I gave her a little pamphlet about me and my likes and my favorite things and a little bit of educational background, and just letting her, the students, and the parents know that I was going to be in the classroom until May. And so when I came in on Monday, they all were super excited. They all were asking me questions about my likes, and they were actually pretty interested in knowing why my last name was Powell, and it's the same spelling as their elementary school. So first grade is definitely it's going to take a little bit to get acclimated, especially with interruptions and staying off task with things, and just being children, being children, and their attention span isn't that much. So like I said, I finished my second day. I went to a staff meeting, or a faculty meeting as they would say, and we found out that the test scores from the new curriculum that the principal brought in has improved so many scores. They were like 33 proficient in reading and math. 33% proficient means that only 33% of the students in the school, and there's 900 students, were on level or higher. So about 70% of these students were below level. A little bit about the SPED. You have students coming in, and they are elementary based. They are kindergarten. It's very hard to get an IEP or an accommodations for students at that age, just because of the typical behavior that they express. It's just there's typical behaviors that that you see, that they go through. So actually getting an IEP for accommodations is pretty tough. And I found out that the school actually only has 3 SPED teachers and 4 TAs. So the 3 SPED teachers are the only ones that are actually doing the IEPs, and you have 900 students in the school. and there's no cap on sped teachers here in the state of Tennessee with their caseloads. So with that being said, and going into my new placement and exhibiting some of the classroom and some of the behaviors, there's one little boy, Lord have mercy, they always come to me. I don't know what it is, but they always like are just drawn to me. Very first day, he was attached to my hip, and he had a meltdown at PE. He does not like PE. He told me, he said, it hurts to exercise and I don't want to do it. So 1 o'clock, they usually go to their, what they call encore, so they're special. And they're in there for 45 minutes. And so we had a team meeting, so grade level meeting with all the first grade teachers. And then we came back to pick up the class, and he is screaming, like going nuts. So he didn't get to come back to class, and they're working with him, and he's making progress. I guess he's made progress since last year. So we'll see how that goes. There's always one in every classroom. So overall, the kids are sweet. They're very chatty. They're very sweet. They want help. They want reassurance. They are actually surprisingly very receptive of me, and they're not testing me. I really thought that they would be kind of like, well, you're not Miss Poston. So anything I say, like, they actually listen to, and they are very, very receptive, and they're very hands-on and needy. I'm not used to that anymore after leaving La Petite Academy and going into middle school and then coming back first grade. It's been a really big transition for me, but I think it's okay. I think it's going to take a little bit for me to get used to that, but I'm excited to be in there and to help Ms. Poston, and she has a lot on her plate. She is a lead teacher, meaning she does observations or evaluations for other teachers. Teachers are rated on evaluations, so if you have a 5 or a 4, I believe you get 1 announced observation and 1 unannounced, and 1 is like administration and 1 is like a lead teacher. So she gets to do that along with some other teachers. You can't observe or evaluate teachers in your own team. So first grade, you can't observe or evaluate with them. So she does that, and then she also is a demo facilitator for the new iReady Math. So I guess they started implementing this iReady Math program about 2 years ago, and a lot of new teachers were not trained on it. And so I guess what Knox County did was they went around and they observed certain teachers demonstrating or facilitating the material and implementing it the way that it should be. And they're using those teachers as demos to teach teachers who may have been scored a lower score, hey, you need to do this because this is why you got scored low. And she's great at it. She's so patient. And things that would bother me, I remember just being a La Petite and trash on the floor, or someone not paying attention, or people talking when you're talking. She's so patient, and she just kind of ignores the behavior. Me on the other hand, I if any of my former parents are watching this video, they know that I did not tolerate that. But, to each their own. I'm not criticizing her because that's the way she wants to teach, and it's effective because the kids obviously are learning. I'm in a portable. I was in a big classroom in my last placement, and this time I'm in a portable. And it was 24 degrees outside this morning, so I had to walk back and forth to the office and administration building about 3 or 4 times, and it's pretty cold. So I was not happy about being in a portable. um, but the only good thing about that is that, you know, you are away from the building, the noise, you are kind of in your own entity, and all the first grade classrooms are actually in these portables. So they're basically a long trailer, and the long trailer is actually divided into 2 classrooms. There's 2 bathrooms, and they share a closet in the back for the teachers. But with that being said, having 18 to 20 students in a portable can get really tight. So I guess what happened last year, the principal made an executive decision to move the first grade into the portables because they were much smaller bodies, is what I was told. And so I think this is their first year in the portable. But, you know, I understand, I get it. Besides, they're closer to the playground. So, you know, it is what it is. um, it's been very weird for me to have children in a setting like that and then giving them like so much freedom. For example, we were on the playground today and someone needed to go to the bathroom. Well, me as a former early childhood education teacher, we were not allowed to let children like roam, or not necessarily roam, but go without having adult supervision. But I guess, you know, here they're like, you have to have somebody go with you, or someone, you know, just needing to run an errand for her. So letting 2 students go at a time to do that. It kind of bothers me, but I think it's because of the ECE background that I have. So that's going to take a little bit to get used to. And them being like so self-sufficient with their materials and, you know, having jobs and holding each other accountable. And sometimes you forget how independent the little ones are. You know, it's kind of easier to do it for them, but is that really teaching them anything, you know? So I don't know, we shall see. So with that being said, I went to the job recruitment fair for my local school district on Saturday. I registered back in the early weeks of February, and about 2 weeks ago, I got an email from the special education department requesting an interview, on the spot interview at a job fair. Never had an interview before, never been exposed to job fairs before. So I started doing some research and watching, like, you know, videos on YouTube of teachers and just suggestions and tips on how to respond to questions, because I get nervous and I start playing with my hair, or I say like and very much so when I'm just talking. See, so I've been trying to be more conscientious about that when I was practicing, you know, practicing my teacher interview questions. So I'm not a person to fight or try to like stick out and push my way through. I've never been that way. Never will I be that way. I feel like if you want to get to know me, if you are interested in me, then, you know, you ignore other people and talk with me. But I did want to share with you guys some things that I did. So what I did was, let's see if I can find it. I'm not sure if it'll work. So what I did was it's not working. It's not working, unfortunately, so I'm gonna have to show you guys up here. Let's see. Let's see if this will work. Anyway, sorry about that. I thought I would show you, like, on the Zoom what my thing was, but I guess I'll just show you what I made. So what I decided to do was I decided to update my resume and make it more kind of like my style. As a teacher, you think of apples, you think of red, green, you think of cute little fonts, but not an overabundance of material to where, you know, they're able to read it. It's legible. So what I did is I created my own template and I updated my resume. So I used the template like this, and it just basically has, you know, what I'm about, my professional experience, and then I have my student teaching down here. And then my affiliates. So I am an honor student. I'm a part of the Kappa Delta Pi, which is National Education Honor Society, and then also Phi Theta Kappa, which is the National Honor Society for two-year schools. And then I'm a part of the National Education Association and the Tennessee Education Association. My proficiencies, my objective, a little bit about me, and then obviously my student teaching experience. And, you know, I've always been told that you want to keep your resume kind of, you know, one page, because I was at a job fair. I was assuming that there was going to be hundreds of people there, and I didn't want my resume just to get lost in the shuffle, you know? So with that being said, I created a brochure. I know. So I created a brochure, a little bit about me, kind of in a snapshot, you know? So it has, like, my teaching philosophy. It has quotes. For example, my last observation, my clinical supervisor said, Jennifer's enthusiasm and love for students is always apparent when I'm in the classroom doing an observation. She's developed a wonderful rapport with all of her students. And then I had a quote from a student. He said, I appreciate all you do. I put a little quote on the whiteboard in my old placement, and for this one, for example, we were learning about adjectives, where I was reviewing adjectives with them. So it says, tell me Thursday, write one adjective that describes Ms. Powell. And so someone put awesome, nice, intuitive, awesome every day, hardworking, thoughtful, helpful. And so I took a picture of it, and then I put it in this area. And then I kind of put my picture up here, and then my objective, a little bit about me, and then my education is a WGU, and then my anticipation graduation date, because I am still a student, so I'm not licensed yet. And then my certification will be in special ed, K through 12 modified, and then elementary education, K through 5. And then a little bit about my experience in a nutshell, and then my affiliate codes right here. And then lastly, I put my philosophy, just kind of like my philosophy of education, what I believe in, what, you know, what's a passionate teacher, you know? So when I interviewed with my SPED department, they thought that was the greatest thing. Like, I left 5 in the little binder because I put everything in like white tabs and color sheets, and I was like, you know, you guys keep this, take it with you, you know, to the county. And so I had a 15 interview with them on the spot, and I was a little nervous because I was running late, like always. And so I didn't know at the time, but she was actually the supervisor of special education for the county. And so my 15 interview went well, and I asked them questions about, you know, what their expectations were, what is the challenge for Knox County, why is there such a demand for SPED teachers? Is it because of the turnover? Is it because, you know, population growth? And she said, she just was honest with me. She said it was a little bit of both. You got to have time for yourself. You're not going to change the world. And, you know, you got to make sure that you hold yourself accountable. It's a big job, but it's my calling. So after my interview, she was kind of like, can you hang out for a few minutes? mind you, there was over 100 schools there, 100 schools in a gym, and it was so loud. So she reiterated the question of, are you sure that you don't have an age preference? And I really don't have an age preference. Not that I'm desperate for a job, but I really don't have an age preference. So I waited about 15 minutes, and then another sped supervisor came by. She's like, thank you for waiting patiently for me. This is just really crazy time of day. You know, there's so many people coming back and forth. And so she's like going around the other sped department heads and, you know, was asking them like what schools are in demand for sped. Everyone is in elementary education. Everyone. I'm just saying, if you're thinking about going to, you know, education, you might want to get something more than just elementary ed, because there's a dime a dozen. So she took me to high school, and I mean, yeah, I don't have an age preference, but I don't think I'm ready for high school yet. Especially the high school that she referred me to. And I met with the principal and the vice principal, and I left them my information. I was very courteous and, you know, smiles and pleasant and engaging. But I think at the end of the day, we both knew that I wasn't in it. So I walked around, and I finally got to the middle school that they had on my list. And I guess the head of SPED walked around and was kind of giving the principals a heads up, like, Jennifer Powell's going to be here, and, you know, she's a really good candidate, but she's also an entry-level teacher that will be graduating in May. She's not certified yet. So I get to middle school, and there's like a whole bunch of people waiting in line and kind of hovering over them, and the principal and the vice principal were there talking, and I just waited, and people kept coming up and kind of gathering in a line, but I was on the other side. And I just stood there kind of smiling and just not really focusing on his or her conversation with the other people, because I just think that's rude. I was just kind of smiling and just, you know, waiting patiently. And so finally there was me and another girl, and he's like, who wants to go? Who was here next? I was like, oh, she can go next. And so he was like really brief with her. He asked her, you know, what are you looking for? What kind of position? You know, if he had it available, he was like, okay. I took her resume, was looking at it and kind of just sent her on her way. And he's like, he looks at me and he says, somebody came around and said that something Powell was coming in for a SPED position. I thought it said Judy. And I was like, well, I'm really sorry, but my name isn't Judy, it's Jennifer. And he started asking me all these questions about, you know, what I was looking for, my experience. And I was just kind of, you know, completely honest. You know, the rehearsal speech, the buzzwords that they want you to use, just went out the window. It totally went out the window. And he told me there was two types of positions available. There was one for a satellite class, which is basically 6 ED, emotionally disturbed. I'm going to say that again, emotionally disturbed students with a TA downstairs in a containment class. And I would be teaching them every content because these students cannot function in a normal classroom setting. Okay. All right. The next one is more of inclusion with English language. And I would be collaborating with teachers. However, my content is in K-5 elementary ed. So I would need to take another praxis for English language arts middle school. But he would pay for it. Okay. So we started talking more about, you know, the types of assessments I use and, you know, how would I handle these certain situations, and, you know, my philosophy of teaching, and I don't know. I don't know what I said to make him seem interested. So he and his vice principal, they kind of chat. He's like, "Excuse me for a minute." And so she's like, "I want to talk to you." So she pulled me away from the crowd of people, and we sat for like 20 minutes talking. And one question always comes up. I kid you not. Why do you want to teach? Why do you want to be a part of our team? Why do you want to work with kids this age? And I look at her and I said, "I'm not going to lie to you, and I'm going to give you a generic answer because I'm not trying to sell myself. I'm very passionate about what I do. I can't describe it. I cannot articulate the way it makes me feel or how I feel when I talk about education or making an influence or mentoring. More than anything, it's just mentoring these students, especially students who don't have good influences, or students that that have trust issues, or students that feel misunderstood. It's all about building relationships. And if you've watched my previous video, I will rant and rave about that. Basically, I gave her that spiel because that's what I believe in. And we shut that job fair down. The school staff came in and started cleaning up tables, and we shut it down. So he comes back, to me, and he was like, "Do you have any questions for me?" And I just asked him about the culture and the diversity. And there's 1,300 students in the school, and they have 11 SPED teachers, and one is getting promoted to an instructional coach. And so he's looking for somebody to kind of replace that. And so, he just kind of told me that. And then he's like, "Would you mind hanging out for a minute? Do you have anything to do?" And I was like, no, I really don't. So he went back to his table and helped the assistant principal clean up. And I was just kind of lounging, waiting back a little bit, not really, kind of like, "Okay, dude," So he comes up to me and he's like, "I just want to say that I'm highly interested in offering you a position. But unfortunately, I can't extend the offer. I can only recommend you. I'd have to recommend you to HR, and then they're the ones that will offer you the position once, your credentials, your background check, your drug tests go through." And so I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's awesome." And he's like, "So, like I said, if there was an issue with your licensure, I wouldn't mind, paying for your practice if you need to retake something." And I was just kind of like, "Oh my gosh," like, job fair, my first interview, And I don't know, I couldn't believe it. And, he was like, "Would you be interested?" And I said, "I'm highly interested. I'm highly interested in doing this." So he's like, "I have your contact information. You have mine. We'll, basically be in touch." And so I left, and, I thanked both of them, and I left. About 10 minutes later, after driving on my way home, he calls me and he's like, "I want to get you on an early contract for next year. I want to sign you on an early contract for next year." He's like, "Is that something you would be interested in?" And I said, "Absolutely. Definitely." So, yesterday I get a call and email from Knox County Schools requesting for my signature, my early contract. So I will be employed for next year. First interview, first job fair. I'm not even licensed yet, and I have a contract. I don't even know what to say. I'm super excited. I'm very nervous, but I'm super excited to know that I can spend the summer enjoying time with my fiance and, not stressing out about looking for a job because I have one. So that's my story on that. I don't even know. Like, I'm still kind of in shock about it. So with that being said, you can put your mind to anything. You can achieve anything. There's no need to try to, talk yourself up and say things to, to build yourself up. Just be honest. Just be passionate about what you do and elaborate on that. Just because I think originality is very much more, selling than being that generic, typical person. So, if anything, maybe just taking this experience that I had and kind of applying it to whatever you want to do in your next, career journey, whatever, just be yourself and, find something that you're passionate at and just, do it. You can do anything that you set your mind to. Anyway, thanks for watching my video. I will definitely keep you guys posted with my adventure in first grade, and I think I have 6 more weeks until graduation. Bye, guys.